President Donald Trump says the U.S. is preparing to escort stranded ships out of the Strait of Hormuz. The operation is expected to begin in the coming hours. Trump says U.S. forces could guide vessels through the critical waterway in an operation called Project Freedom.
Breaking news this very moment. The United States Navy has launched Project Freedom in the Strait of Hormuz. This is not a drill. This is not speculation. Guided missile destroyers, more than 100 land-based and sea-based aircraft, multi-domain unmanned platforms, and 15,000 American service members are now actively in position to guide stranded commercial ships out of one of the most critical choke points on the planet, the narrow waterway that Iran has tried desperately to shut down amid escalating tensions in the ongoing conflict. This operation is straight from the highest levels of the United States government. President Donald Trump announced it himself just yesterday, and today it is underway. The mission is crystal clear: restore freedom of navigation for neutral vessels and their crews. Thousands of seafarers from countries that have nothing to do with the fighting have been trapped for weeks, running low on food, fuel, and supplies while the world's oil lifeline hangs in the balance. The Strait of Hormuz is no ordinary shipping lane. It carries roughly 20% of the globe's seaborne oil trade. When it clogs, the entire global economy feels the shock. Oil prices have already spiked dramatically. Markets are on edge, and everyday Americans are seeing the ripple effects at the gas pump and in their grocery bills. Let's be precise about what is happening right now. U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, issued a formal statement confirming that its forces are supporting Project Freedom starting May 4th. The military assets involved are formidable: guided missile destroyers patrolling the waters, air cover overhead from more than 100 aircraft, and advanced unmanned systems operating across multiple domains. 15,000 American service members are committed to ensuring these neutral ships can safely transit out of the restricted areas. This is not about picking a fight. President Trump has described it as a humanitarian gesture to help innocent crews and vessels that have been caught in the crossfire of Iran's attempts to disrupt international shipping. But make no mistake, this operation comes with teeth. The White House orders are unambiguous and have been for weeks. Back in April, President Trump directed the U.S. Navy in no uncertain terms: shoot and kill any Iranian boat laying mines or actively disrupting the strait. No hesitation, no warnings ignored. That order was issued after repeated incidents of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy, the IRGC, mining waters, seizing vessels, and firing on shipping. Today, President Trump doubled down. In his announcement of Project Freedom, he made it clear that any interference with this operation will, unfortunately, have to be dealt with forcefully. At the same time, the United States continues to enforce a full naval blockade on Iranian ports, a measure designed to pressure Tehran and prevent further aggression while keeping the strait open for everyone else. Now let's talk about what the other side is doing: the IRGC Navy. These are the same forces that have been issuing last warnings over radio.
This is Japan Navy. Last warning, last warning, last warning.
Firing on vessels, seizing ships, and, according to Iranian state media today, claiming to have hit a U.S. warship with missiles near the strait. CENTCOM's response has been immediate and blunt. No U.S. Navy ships have been struck. American forces are actively supporting Project Freedom and maintaining the naval blockade on Iranian ports. Satellite imagery and open-source reporting in recent days have shown IRGC fast attack craft operating in the area, swarming in formations and attempting to assert control. Iran has even released new maps claiming certain zones of the strait as under its control. Tehran insists the waterway remains under its authority and has warned that any foreign military force, especially American forces, will be attacked if they approach. This tension did not appear overnight. To understand the stakes today, we have to look at the broader timeline that brought us here. Earlier in 2026, as conflict with Iran intensified, the IRGC began restricting passage, laying mines, and attacking commercial shipping in the strait. The United States and its partners responded decisively. U.S. forces conducted strikes that destroyed dozens of Iranian naval vessels, including mine layers and fast attack boats. Reports indicate that over 150 Iranian warships across multiple classes were taken out, along with every submarine in their fleet. President Trump himself stated in April that the Iranian Navy had been effectively annihilated, lying at the bottom of the sea. Only a handful of small, fast attack boats remained operational. Yet those remaining IRGC assets continue to probe, threaten, and attempt to disrupt. Against that backdrop, the United States has maintained a consistent posture. The naval blockade of Iranian ports was implemented in mid-April and remains fully in effect. It is enforced impartially against vessels entering or exiting Iranian waters, but it does not impede neutral shipping through the strait itself. Project Freedom builds on that foundation. It is not a full-scale escort of every ship with American destroyers riding shotgun. Details from officials indicate U.S. forces are providing guidance, establishing safe routes, and offering enhanced security, including through coordination with partners near Oman's waters. The Pentagon has activated a maritime coordination cell to manage information sharing and deconfliction. Destroyers are on station, air cover is overhead, unmanned platforms are scanning the seas. The message from the White House and CENTCOM could not be clearer. The Strait of Hormuz is an international waterway, vital to global commerce, and the United States will ensure it stays open. Right now, as this voice reaches you, the operation is live. U.S.-led task forces are directing stranded ships towards safe transit lanes. Crews that have been adrift for weeks, facing dwindling provisions and mounting anxiety, are finally receiving coordinated assistance to move toward freedom of navigation. This is happening in real time amid a fragile ceasefire that Iran has repeatedly tested. Iranian officials have called the U.S. moves a violation, a provocation, and an act of war. They have threatened direct attacks on American forces. Yet CENTCOM continues to report no successful strikes against U.S. assets. The IRGC's claims today of missile hits on a patrol boat near Jask have been flatly denied by the American military command. The humanitarian dimension cannot be overstated. Thousands of seafarers, ordinary mariners from neutral countries, are caught in the middle. Ships have been stuck since late February in some cases, their crews running critically low on essentials. President Trump emphasized this in his announcement. These are vessels belonging to countries that have done nothing wrong. Project Freedom is about getting them out so they can resume their business and the global supply chain can begin to breathe again. At the same time, the economic stakes are enormous. The strait's closure or severe restriction has already driven oil futures higher, contributed to inflation pressures worldwide, and raised concerns about energy security from Europe to Asia. Markets open today, watching every development out of the Gulf with laser focus. This is the United States Navy standing ready against the IRGC, not through rhetoric, not through empty threats, but through concrete action. Project Freedom is not some vague policy paper. It is destroyers cutting through the waves, aircraft providing overwatch, unmanned systems feeding real-time intelligence, and 15,000 Americans executing the mission ordered by their commander-in-chief. It flows directly from the April directive to neutralize mine-laying threats with lethal force if necessary. It aligns with the ongoing blockade that has already cost Iran economically and strategically. And it sends an unmistakable signal: America will not allow a single regime to hold the world's energy arteries hostage. Of course, the risks are real and they are immediate. Iran's military has warned explicitly that U.S. intervention will be met with force. The IRGC Navy, though diminished, still possesses fast boats, anti-ship missiles, and the willingness to escalate. Today's claims of attacks, even if denied by CENTCOM, illustrate how quickly the situation could spiral. Experts watching the region note that the rules of engagement for U.S. forces have been adjusted to allow immediate strikes on clear threats. Any miscalculation by either side could turn guidance operations into direct confrontation. Yet the United States has been methodical. It has coordinated with international partners, emphasized the humanitarian purpose, and maintained that neutral shipping must flow freely. Global leaders are reacting as well. France's President Macron has called for a coordinated reopening of the strait involving both the U.S. and Iran. Other voices in Europe and beyond are urging de-escalation, even as they acknowledge the need for safe passage. Oil-producing nations are monitoring every tanker movement. Shipping companies are nervous, weighing the risks of attempting transit under the new U.S.-supported framework. And everyday citizens worldwide are feeling the pressure through higher energy costs and supply chain uncertainty. This is real-time history unfolding in the Strait of Hormuz. The world is watching because the consequences stretch far beyond the Gulf. If Project Freedom succeeds in safely extracting stranded vessels and re-establishing reliable navigation, it could ease economic pain, and demonstrate that determined American leadership can counter aggression without full-scale war. If Iran chooses escalation, the Navy stands prepared to respond in accordance with the clear orders from the White House. Either way, the next hours and days will be pivotal. The United States Navy is not backing down. It is advancing with purpose, backed by presidential directive, CENTCOM execution, and the full weight of American military capability. The IRGC has been put on notice. The blockade continues. Project Freedom is active. Freedom of navigation is not negotiable when it comes to this vital international strait. The stakes could not be higher. Global markets are hanging on every update. Oil prices are volatile. Seafarers are counting on safe passage. And the question on everyone's mind is simple. Will Iran back down and allow these ships to move freely, or will the Navy's orders face their ultimate test? The facts on the ground today point to American resolve meeting Iranian defiance head-on. This is the unfiltered reality of what the United States Navy is doing right now in the Strait of Hormuz. No spin, no exaggeration, just the mission as ordered by the President, executed by our forces, and reported as it happens. The world's most important shipping lane is no longer paralyzed by Iranian disruption. Thanks to Project Freedom, movement is beginning again under the protection of the United States military. If you value straight facts about unfolding events that affect your wallet, your security, and the stability of the planet, stay with us. The situation is fluid. New developments could break at any moment. The United States Navy, under clear White House direction, is standing by and standing ready against any threat from the IRGC. History is being written in the waters of Hormuz today, and America is writing it with strength, precision, and an unwavering commitment to keeping the seas free. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe this operation will force a breakthrough toward peace, or are we on the edge of something far more dangerous? Share this update with anyone who needs to understand what is really happening in the Gulf right now. Hit that like button if you want more real-time, fact-grounded reporting on these critical military developments. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter as it unfolds. This is Navy Command Hub, delivering the facts as they happen. Because in times like these, the truth is the most powerful weapon of all.